Welcome to the messy middle of entrepreneurship, unfiltered and unapologetic. Uncensored Entrepreneurs, hosted by Starr, Robert Wall, and Tina Torres-Wilson, brings you real stories from the trenches of building a business. Those late nights, hard lessons, big wins, and everything in between. This is where the truth about entrepreneurship lives. No fluff, no filters, just raw, honest conversations with founders who have lived it. So, if you're over the highlight reel and you're ready for the real deal, hit play. There are people who teach marketing, and then there are people who live it. Dianne Hochman has been building businesses from home for over 25 years. She got her start selling wellness products offline with two little kids at home, no tech background, and no roadmap. What she figured out long before it actually became a buzzword was how to attract people by being real, telling the truth, and building actual relationships. She's gone on to teach thousands of entrepreneurs how to do the same exact thing. No hype, no scripts, just honest marketing that works because it's built around you. Today, she's here to talk about connection, attraction marketing, and what it really takes to build something sustainable without losing yourself in the process. This is one of those conversations that just might shift everything for you and your business. So let's get into it. Dianne, welcome to the show.
It's so great to be here.
We're so happy to have you here, Dianne, and I can't wait to hear more about your entrepreneurial journey. And I know that just knowing a little bit about you, you're really big on attraction marketing. I think you were doing attraction marketing before that term was even coined. So kudos to you and having that authenticity part of your business and your personality and helping others to do the same. Can you take us back in time to when you first started your business? How did that happen? How did you get into entrepreneurship and what did that look like for you? And I know you were a mom with two kids as well and homeschooling. So how did you handle it all? How'd you get into the business?
I will say I was not homeschooling because I could not handle it. And hats off to everybody who does. But I had a 3 and a 6-year-old and I wasn't looking for a business. I didn't even know I could have a business. I bought some products from a relative and they invited me to a meeting. And in that meeting, all of a sudden I went, wait a minute, I could make a living. I could get my family out of debt. I had worked in education and quit my job when my second daughter was born. So I was looking, but I didn't know I was looking, if that makes sense. And that's how it started. But gosh knows I never expected where it would land.
Yeah, I can't wait to dive into this because you and I were running in some of the same circles way back when attraction marketing just started. I won't name the companies, but we've been around for a little while. The beautiful thing is, one company I got involved in, I remember them saying, I'm going to send you a training video. And this will tell you everything you need to know about this model in the business. And it was actually you. So that was really cool that when I think back to some earlier years of some of those companies. But let's talk about the journey because there's so many people that really need to understand that most of us don't just jump into this without a big why behind it. And I know that you have a story to share about from debt to digital, how it all started, and take us back to some earlier days when things were hard to navigate.
I got started in 1999. And of course, I'm only 37, so I don't know how that works. But
Exactly right. You were young.
internet existed, but it didn't exist as we knew it today. It was dial up and it was pretty clunky. And we were doing on the streets type of marketing. But I still, from the very beginning, was doing attraction marketing because the concept of walking up to random people didn't make sense to me. Like a doctor, a lawyer, a real estate agent wouldn't walk up to people expecting everybody wants to buy or sell today, but they might network. So I started networking and I started using some very rudimentary direct response materials to get people to call me. And they did. I was out pounding the pavement, but instead of walking up to people, I was leaving information and flyers and different things. And that's how it started. And then the internet showed up and a tool called an autoresponder. And that changed my life because all of a sudden, see, I was a mom. What did I know? I knew how to be in the PTO and I knew how to organize class activities and stuff. We had phone chains back then. One mom would call the next mom, and we had newsletters that we'd send in the mail about what was going on with the Girl Scout troop. So And autoresponder didn't seem foreign to me. It just seemed like a way for me to let everybody know what was going on. And I started emailing both my customers and prospects and sending them information about what was going on, about my products and services. And my business blew up. And everybody was like, what the heck are you doing? And all I was doing was writing a little note to people, letting them know we had a special or letting them know that there was a new flavor. And I was selling like crazy. So that was the big pivot in business. And then I got fascinated with marketing and started actually studying real marketing as opposed to just go out and talk to people.
That was the AI before the AI, right? The autoresponder.
Yes.
It's funny because you think about autoresponders, logs changed everything. This was 2004, 2005. Before Google, everything was completely different. So right now I'm very into AI because I know what's going to happen over the next 5 years. And it's the next window of opportunity. And it's bigger than social media or autoresponders or any of those tools ever were.
And you're able to identify that these are the things that are going to move us forward because you've witnessed that already. So, what did those early wins teach you about business going forward?
That you had to have a way to mass communicate with people, that going one at a time was never going to cut it. I was just having this conversation. I went to a marketers meetup last night in New Orleans. First time I went, and I was speaking with a young woman, and they were talking about they were out prospecting for clients for their agency. And I said, girl, you got to get a way to mass communicate. Mass communication and the ability to follow up with automation. And when I say automation, it can be personal, but it needs to happen automatically. It's required in this decade and beyond.
Yeah.
So, with all of this automation that you had in place, Diane, I think for a lot of people, they might start off with their friends and their family. How did you develop that initial audience or that list, per se, to put within your autoresponder?
What I did too was when I started to have this tool, I just asked my friends and family if they'd be on my newsletter in case they knew it
Mhm.
that I could help. So I still went to people I knew. I didn't skip that part. And I would do that with any business. If I opened a pizza place, I'd have a grand opening, invite everybody I knew to come down and taste my pizza. So saying I don't want to do that, but what I would do is give them a mechanism that allows them to hear what you're up to without feeling solicited.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so true. And really deep into the personal branding space, a niche I fell into years ago. It was birthed out of the attraction marketing, right? Some of those earlier years and where we're at today. And so one of the things that I want to mention just in regards to that is your journey. And there's many people that are going to be listening to today's show that have no idea what attraction marketing or the personal branding space even requires and means. So think back to those early days and how it transfers to now. But why is attraction marketing so important above and beyond products and services?
Oh gosh, over 25 years, companies and products come and go. That's not negative. It's not bad because if you go to Walmart and you take a picture of what's on the shelf today and go back in a year, it's going to be completely different products. Companies and products come and go. If you think about stores that existed when we were kids, teenagers, young people, and so on, they don't exist anymore. That's part of the nature of the marketplace. So you need to focus first on your own brand and your own list or audience. And from that, you're able to share things that would be helpful to those people. So that way, if something happens to a product, products get discontinued every day, like a certain makeup or a certain perfume. One of my favorite perfumes is discontinued. I was devastated. So products will come and go. But when you have that list, you can always contact people and let them know about things you discovered that would be helpful to them and invite them to take a look in whatever format you have, whether it's a video, whether it's a Zoom, whether it's a recording of a podcast. So it becomes very easy. And I've been preaching this for so long because I watch everybody, they're always starting over and it's this never ending hustle, 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 hustle. I'm always on a cruise. Brag, or I'm not saying I'm an Elmer J. Fudd. I own a mansion and a yacht, for those of you that are old enough to know about Bugs Bunny. My point is that when you do this properly and you have the asset of the brand and the list, and when you build residual income revenue streams, that picture that they showed you about sipping out of a coconut, on the beaches of the world. It's real, but it's not real that we're all driving Maseratis and Rolls Royces or anything like that. I don't endorse that, but the idea of freedom and developing it through a brand, through a list, and through residual income, more than possible, is very real and true.
Yeah, and it's so critical today. Like you said, products and services, they come and go. In some of the circles of influence that we all belong to, we've seen some of those products definitely take a shift since COVID till where we're at now, where they're no longer here. And if you didn't build that personal brand, you can see the big difference between those that are able to just continue to move forward with something new because of the community that they've built versus those that are going, where do I go now? I'm lost. I'm lost because my identity was attached to the product and service, right? Not my own personal brand. And so that is so key. And I also think that we're in this interesting age where social media gives us that false presence, as you stated, right? I call it the Lamborghini phase. Everyone rents a Lamborghini so that they can take a picture with it and talk about all the money they're making. But the reality is that's always short-lived. And so staying around the campfire, letting people know a little bit more about not just your products and services, but your life and what you have to offer and who you are as a mom, who you are as an individual, a man, a woman, right? All those things are so critical, your interests, your hobbies, because those that are attracted and connected to you, they're that synergy, they're going to come in based on that authenticity. And so I love that. And I would imagine over these last few years, not only have we all seen this, but you've experienced it, right? I don't know if you want to tap into that just a little bit, but I know that from your own health journey, things that have happened in the last few years. Tell us a little bit about just that transition and how building this lifestyle has helped you as well during that.
This is uncensored, right?
I hope you're enjoying this episode so far. Before we dive back in, I want to share something I've seen again and again. When business feels stuck, it's not always strategy. It's often misalignment. That's what inspired me to create the Universal Brand Alignment Method. It's a course that helps entrepreneurs reconnect with who they truly are and how they're meant to lead so that their message finally lands. So if you're ready for your brand to reflect your truth, then head to brandingcollaborative.com/alignment. That's brandingcollaborative.com/alignment. Now, let's get back to the conversation. Yes, it's uncensored.
So I'm going to be honest. It's really important to understand the brand. When we think about a personal brand, it's not about us. It's about your people and letting them know that they are understood by you. And that's a whole nother subject. So I went through a divorce, devastating. If I didn't have a list and if I didn't have residual income, quite frankly, I was down for quite a while. 4 years ago this week, I was in the ICU or about to land in the ICU with COVID. They were calling priests. So I went through that. I went through my kids growing up. They leave and they grow up. And so I went through a lot of different things. And this is life. The lifestyle of having a brand, a list, and residual income has saved me over and over and over again, because there were periods where it's not that I couldn't work. Don't think, guys, that I just stopped working. I still sent out letters. I still posted on social. I still did the bare minimum. But there were periods where I just didn't have that energy. And that happens to all of us in life. The only problem is when you don't have a brand and a list, you have to go out and you have to smile and you have to show up and your heart is broken. You're having to be motivational, where I had the freedom and the flexibility to take some time for myself, do a lot of personal development, do a lot of meditation and prayer and all that good stuff to have the peace. It's something that few people talk about because we're busy talking about the stuff. And the stuff is not the best part of the lifestyle. The peace is knowing that money is going to show up, knowing that you could send out an email and bring in money or bring people around. Maybe you need the energy of people. You could say, hey, come to a Zoom at 2:00, feeling down, you need some people, and people will show up. It's magical.
That is amazing. And Robert is always talking about branding on our show. And I love that you shared that. A lot of people, like you say, they just stop working on things because they feel that it's not working out. And they're missing that mark on building their brand and developing that list. I can't tell you how many times that list has come in handy for me in more than one business because I've built a thriving audience around a specific niche product or service. And I'm able to bring something new to market or bring in income for the household to buy something that I want or something that we need for the family. So I think that what we're talking about is really financial freedom for our future and time freedom. And people miss the mark when they're not developing their personal brand and they're simply just promoting the specific company that they're with right now or the specific product that they're selling or just not even growing their own email list. I think it's crazy, but there's a lot of people doing that. So, what are some of the other mistakes that you see some of these entrepreneurs making out there, Diane, and what guidance can you give them?
I have to be honest, every step forward is good. We could talk about mistakes, but let's talk about the fact that you stepped up and you're doing what you're doing. And then it comes to learning. I highly recommend that everybody learns true marketing versus, I don't want to knock anything because it's where I came from. It's how I grew up. So I'm always supporting every person that does anything. But for example, right now, TikTok shop, a lot of people making a lot of money. And I'm not being negative. It's just experience that they can change in a minute and change how they remunerate people. And we've seen it with social and money from social over the years. Creator Fund, they changed this. They changed TikTok shop. They changed who's allowed to sell. You're making $30,000 a month and they shut down your TikTok shop because of one bad video. You have no stability. Nobody's making a mistake as they're stepping forward and everybody learns through experience. But if somebody were to ask me from my wisdom over the ages, it's learning marketing as opposed to just selling. Selling is trying to get a sell right now in this moment. When I'm marketing, I'm preparing people to buy and I'm basically putting them in my tumbler so that there's always somebody popping up that's ready to buy. When I'm selling, it's a yes or a no. And we were taught for years, get that yes or get that no, knock, 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 get the yes or get the no. I don't believe in it. And I was ostracized many moons ago for saying things like this. These were radical things, teaching your team to make so many dials. And I'm over here going, why would you do that? You're teaching your team, they got to get yes down to the Zoom. And I'm like, I wouldn't do it that way. Am I right? Am I wrong? Either one. It's just how I did it.
And so many people follow the trends that you're talking about, right? Like today it's TikTok, tomorrow it's Facebook, the next day it's Instagram, and they're following these trends just to make money. It's the pitch, it's the hard pitch. We see it in our inbox every single day. Oh my goodness. I have to purge my inbox daily just because of the hard pitch without the actual stickiness, the alignment. Let's talk about that magnetic marketing that we come from, that background where you're building this synergy by being real, authentic. You're continuously letting people know, you're educating people along the way, right? Because let's face it, and I know we hear this a lot, most consumers hate to be sold to, but everyone loves to buy. And so if you're in front of them in different ways and you're educating and you're building this know, like, and trust factor that we hear about regularly, then when they're ready to buy and you're there in front of them, they're going to do it, right? And obviously results speak a great deal of wisdom into all things, but I love the magnetic marketing and someone that's just getting started, that's doing all the little salesy stuff and the hard pitches, especially in network marketing, without real training or real leadership behind it. What are your thoughts on where they should start in magnetic marketing, attraction marketing?
The first thing is my old teacher used to say, I'm looking for people that are looking for me. He always said that. And it stuck with a whole bunch of us. If you're happy and you're doing your thing, do your thing. Okay. But if you're hearing this message right now, you've been plugging into this podcast and you're hearing this and you're going, you know what, maybe there is something more, or maybe I could create something that gives me more stability or more flexibility. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to look where you are, look around. Is there anybody that you know that you have relationship with that's already doing these types of things? Okay, so let's look. If you're network marketing, is there an upline that's using these types of systems? Is there a colleague? Is there somewhere that you can plug in so you can be around other people? Because the hardest part in the beginning is when you're trying to get into real marketing is you'll find that there's a lot of people telling you not to do that. I was told for years, don't do that. Why do you do it that way? Don't do that. As my volume kept going up, as my income kept going up, I literally had a great upline, may he rest in peace. I love this man. And he pulled me aside one day. He's like, so what are you doing? And I told him I learned about autoresponders and this and that. And he said, that's so awesome. And I'm so proud of you. He goes, but I need to ask you a favor. And I said, sure, Frank, what is it? Because I don't want you to try to tell anybody else about it or try to teach them anything. And I said, no problem. I said, I'm not going to teach anybody but my own people. I said, I have no need to teach everybody else, because he was so afraid of what I was doing that I would disrupt the sales process. But he was kind, because other people were nasty. So you really need to get around some people that are moving in this direction. The next thing I would do is Seth Godin's book, Permission Marketing, which is from way back in, I think, 99. Permission marketing. Okay. It's the idea of getting people's permission to show them what we have. For a lot of people, it's a revolutionary idea. It's definitely worth reading that book or listening to that book. If you have Audible, download it, because Seth has the greatest voice. It's Seth Godin, Godie. Okay. And then I highly recommend you learn the fundamentals of using an autoresponder and creating a funnel, which you hear around. There's many ways to do it that are free, low cost. You don't have to buy some big expensive system. And I want to remind everybody, I am not high tech. I am not fancy dancy, all kinds of stuff. I just did what any mom knew how to do. So one mom, back in the day, they might have just made labels, right? They had a sheet and it printed out Avery labels and they slapped them on an envelope. That's all I knew how to do. And to this day, I do not have a lot of fancy. I have one list. I do not segment it. I'm not supposed to say this, but I don't do all of the stuff that everybody does, because it's just me letting you know, hey, on Tuesday, we're doing this, and there's this new product, or there's a sale. It's still the same after 25 years. I keep it very simple. Here's what's great. If you get into it and you figure out you're good at this stuff and you want to get fancy, God knows you can get really fancy, especially with AI now. But if you're not super technical, don't count this out for you, because it can be incredibly simple. And I've been teaching it that way for years. And now I'm learning that I can use AI to do all the things I did. So it's really cool. So now you might see me doing some fancy stuff because AI is here.
We're really excited about the AI. I love that you talked about funnels, automations. That's something that I love. And I really want to talk about that just for a minute, because we have AI at our fingertips. You're finding that I feel like some people are losing their authenticity, or they're just posting stuff that AI is creating. So how can you keep your brand human while still leveraging AI and all of the amazing, cool things that are out there?
Train your AI. What does that mean? There are ways that you can train your AI through your own writing, through transcripts of your own talking. If you have done any videos, you could take transcripts, feed it to the AI. I have thousands of letters that I've written over the years. I've only given it 100 so far because I'm lazy and I haven't fed it all the rest. But if you keep teaching it who you are, how you talk, what your background is, it will start to understand, okay, this is Dianne. She's from New York. She's sassy. She's very straightforward. She doesn't like fluffy language. And it can actually start to write in your own syntax. What does syntax mean? Language has a rhythm. Okay. And like, for example, I grew up in New York. How you's doing? Right. And now I'm down here in the South, and it's like, how y'all doing today? Right. Please, I'm not trying to make fun of anybody. I'm just trying to make an example. The syntax and the rhythm of the speech in different areas is a collective syntax, right? If you talk to doctors, like yesterday, I was at a marketing event. Everybody has a syntax. They start talking in marketing talk, okay? We train our AI. What is our speech pattern? What is our rhythm? We do that by feeding it our own. I have one great tool that I use. I record all kinds of stuff, and then I just give it to the AI and it assimilates all this stuff about. Do I solely use AI to write for me? No, I've been a copywriter for 20 years. Classic, old school. So the idea of letting a tool just write for me, it probably could never please me. But do I use it for ideas and drafts? Yes, ma'am, I do. Yes, ma'am, I do. But train the AI.
Absolutely. And likewise, we talk about it a great deal in this show too. When it first came out, I'll admit, I'll raise my hand like most of us. I was resistant a few years back when it was brand new because I thought, like to Starr's point and your point, that you would lose that authenticity. And in the beginning, many people were using it the wrong way. But when you actually embrace it as a tool to not only embody who you are, but bring you like speed to market or speed to ideas and other things, then it becomes your true assistant. And that leads me into my next question. It's so key, in my opinion, to have all of these tools and to use them properly because it helps us with one of the greatest things that we've all experienced, and that's burnout, right? When it comes to a digital marketing, just being an entrepreneur, juggling, wearing many hats, and still trying to manage home, we've all experienced burnout at some point where, as you stated earlier, your heart wasn't in it or the energy level was very low. And so in those moments, it's so key to have another tool that actually closes the gap on burnout. You want to talk a little bit about just burnout in general, maybe your own experiences or how you can share with others that are ready to throw in the towel today on their business?
Sure. I may approach it from a different perspective than a lot of people talk about it. I don't know. But when we get to a place where we're bored in a way, we're going through the motions, we're doing the same thing. And this especially happens with social media. You have to put out 3 reels a day. You have to do this, you have to do that. So we're doing it because we have to do it, just like in a job, right? Show up and you have to do it. I'm tired of telling people that they could have less fine lines and wrinkles. I'm tired of telling people that if you just drink this in the morning and drink it in the afternoon, the pounds will melt away. Whatever it is we're selling or we're talking about, we get bored. Okay. So the beauty of AI is it can do the repetitive work for you, but it also gives us the time and the freedom to explore new things that turn us. So, for example, today after this interview, I'm going to a class. I haven't been to class in years. I have to be honest, I've just been so bored. There has been nothing that has turned me on. And now I'm in all these AI classes. I'm in class every day. I'm so excited. But the AI is giving me the opportunity because it's doing a lot of the things that I used to do. It's about finding the next thing that inspires us as opposed to just working harder. I call myself a marketing artist. I'm not the hits, clicks, analytics girl. I'm not the girl that's always doing split tests. That's not my jam. My jam is let me paint a picture with words and see who resonates with it. And I need the time to do that and the inspiration. Question is, can you inspire yourself or find something that inspires you to move to the next level? And when you have that list and so on, you can take surveys, you can ask them questions, you can communicate. This is the core of everything. It's communication, knowing your audience, and then bringing them new and exciting.
Yes, love it. And you had a lot of success early on, and you still do. I admire that you're able to just take vacations and travel and take these cruise trips, like you mentioned. But I'd like to ask you what legacy actually means to you now, and what will you be building toward your next season?
Legacy for me is about the people that you impacted and the people that they loved that you impacted through them. So there was a solid decade or more where I was teaching a lot of classes and I had thousands and thousands and thousands of students. One comes to mind. She has 2 daughters like I did, and she's a co-owner of a company. She's just absolutely phenomenal. Shout out to Lindsay Sewell. She started and she was in the wrong place, and I was able to impact her, among others. I'm not saying I was the one, but I know through some of the things that I taught her, her children are impacted. So that's legacy to me. My body of work and different things I've created, which are nice to lay down, but all of that stuff changes over time. I'd like to think some of the philosophy I've embedded into people, but it's the children and the grandchildren and knowing that their lives are different because I helped their parent or grandparent see money. As far as the next stage, after I almost died, not to be dramatic, I stepped away from running around all the time, trying to be on all the stages and all that stuff. Who knows? Maybe I'll get back to that because I do love it. I do love the people. But I do know that the next 5 years, everything's going to turn upside down. And I intend to be at the forefront of it. Maybe quiet back of the room, maybe at the front of the room. I don't know. But what I know is if there was ever a time to pay attention, and if there was ever a time that opportunity is here, heard that in the industry, that you can make a quantum leap, it is right now. Because a lot of people are just not accepting that things are changing, and it will take on critical mass. For me, the moment that you could talk to it, I remember the day that it came out that you could press a button and talk to it and would talk back to you, the AI. That was the moment that I knew that everybody would be using this in a short period of time because you could actually communicate. So this is happening, and everybody can say why it's good and why it's bad and why it's this, it's the devil. It's happening. We're not stopping it. The question is, are you going to capitalize on it?
Boy, that is so true. And I'm just going to say this from outside looking in to your world personally. You've created such an impact in people's lives in this industry. And so I just want you to know that. I think we ran into each other a couple of years ago at Faith Over Fear down in Florida when you were at that event. And I can tell you that it echoed my sentiment in the fact that so many people are like, Dianne's here. Dianne's here. I just saw Dianne. That's an exciting thing when people, they're like, yeah, this is the person that I've experienced this journey, even if it's a small portion of the journey through the years with you in different ways. And you said from the front of the stage or the back of the stage, some of the greatest leaders are in the back pushing people on stage. And so you're doing all the right things you always have. I can tell you that through your journey, whether you were visible with those 3 reels a day or you needed to take a break during burnout and health issues, building these relationships will last forever, right? In any condition that we're in. So for those that are looking to connect with you, we're obviously going to have all of your links and ways that they can get involved. But what's one of the best ways that people can just reach out and connect with you right away?
I'm on all the socials, just Dianne Hochman, Hochman. So you can find me pretty much on any platform. And then my website is diannehochman.com. And of course, my newsletter's there. If you want to see how I do the thing that I say I do, it's there and it's free. And it's just me writing to people and caring about people. So that's how I build my business, one person at a time.
I appreciate it so much. And thank you so much for taking your time to spend with us today. Starr, do you have any last thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to thank you so much, Dianne, for motivating our audience to keep moving forward and also to embrace change as we see in the next few years. Things are already changing, right? Just to stay ahead of what's to come when it comes to technology and marketing and to build your own brand and your own list so that you can keep money coming in and helping others, which is what we love to do.
Absolutely. So many entrepreneurs think that they need to be more polished to grow. And Dianne, you absolutely have taught the opposite of that, right? It's one example where just showing up as is probably the most critical thing. It's the one thing that we don't have to worry about. Products and services continue to change, but we, our own value, our personal brand, right? Our journey, that's part of self. And we carry that forward in all situations. So thank you again for your time. We will have you back on the show when we have Tina with us as well, and maybe less technical difficulties. We've had a few of those along the way today too, but your message nevertheless is very impactful and powerful. And so thank you again for being on the Uncensored Entrepreneurs.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Uncensored Entrepreneurs. If you're getting value from the show, take a minute to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you tune in. It helps more bold entrepreneurs find us. Until next time, keep showing up, uncensored and unapologetic. And we'll catch you on the next episode.